Hi everyone. Today we'll be looking at gas exchange in humans. Before we start, trachea, also known as windpipe, is a tube that carries air towards the lungs where gaseous exchange takes place. True or false? True. So to proceed to the business of today, living organisms must be able to take oxygen from the air and get rid of carbon dioxide to the air. This is called gas or gaseous exchange. Gas exchange takes place through a surface known as respiratory surface, and they should have the following properties. They should be thin, that is ideally one cell thick. They should have a large surface area that allows many molecules of gas to diffuse at once. They should be moist. That is, cells should be moist, or else they'll die of the cells of any respiratory surface. They should be well ventilated and they should be close to a blood supply. Structures involved in ventilation. One of the characteristics of a respiratory surface is that it should be well ventilated. So here I want to look at the structures that are involved in well ventilation of a respiratory surface. The ribs, external intercostal muscles, internal intercostal muscles, the pleural membranes, and the diaphragm. Other parts of the respiratory system include the larynx, which is also the voice box. Air passes through here during breathing. The trachea or windpipe, a tube that carries air towards the lungs. The bronchus, first branch of the trachea, and there is only one, and there is one to each lung. Then we have the bronchioles, very fine branch leading to the alveolus. The alveoli or air sacs, these are respiratory surfaces where gas exchange takes place. On the right side, we have a label diagram of the human lungs showing us this part that I have mentioned. We can see the alveoli, we can see the bronchus, the bronchioles, the diaphragm, the nose, and the larynx. Exercise and breathing. During exercise, muscles work hard and need to release more energy by respiration. Rapid breathing rate and heartbeat pumps more blood to tissues to carry carbon dioxide away. An alteration in the blood CO2 levels is detected by sensors in the brain. Nerve impulses are then sent to muscles in the chest and the heart. So on the right hand side, we see a picture of the ribs, of the human ribs, showing the internal intercostal muscle and the external intercostal muscle and the costal cartilage. Then a quick question. Pulmonary artery and pulmonary veins carry dissolved gases to and from the respiratory surfaces. True or false? Composition of inspired air. So this table shows us air component, the percentage of each component in inspired air and the percentage of each component in expired air. Composition of inspired air is different from the composition of expired air because oxygen has diffused from the air in the alveoli into the blood, and carbon dioxide has diffused from the blood into the air in the alveoli. Water evaporates from the surfaces of the alveoli. We should note that carbon dioxide in expired air turns lime water milky or cloudy. If you want to test for carbon dioxide in expired air, you make use of lime water. It turns lime water milky or cloudy. A quick question. What is the instrument used to measure the amount of air that enters and leaves the lungs? This would be the spirometer. The spirogram is a graph showing the amount of air that enters and leaves the lungs. Function of cartilage in the trachea. The trachea or windpipe is a tube that carries air towards the lungs. It has C-shaped rings of cartilage that prevents the trachea from collapsing during inhalation. Asthma is a form of breathing difficulty, true or false? True. Goblet cells, mucus, and ciliated cells. Cilia, these are fine hairs on surface cells, and they help to prevent pathogens from entering into the respiratory tract. They beat in a coordinated way to carry mucus with trapped microbes and dust away from the lung surfaces, while the goblet cells produce sticky mucus and releases it into the surface onto the surface of the cells. Breathing is the set of muscular movement that gives the respiratory surface a constant intercostal supply of fresh air. Breathing is brought about by the action of two groups of muscles, that is the intercostal muscles, the internal and external intercostal muscles, and then the diaphragm. It is also brought about by the properties of the pleural membranes that surround the lungs. The intercostal muscles are muscles between the ribs, and they are of two types. Like I earlier mentioned, the internal intercostal muscles, they partake in respiration by relaxing during breathing, while the external intercostal muscles contract during breathing. The diaphragm, on its part, contracts during inspiration, which is also breathing in. During expiration, that is breathing out, the external intercostal muscles contract. This is a question, and the answer is false because we have stated that the external intercostal muscles contract when breathing in and not when breathing out. The pleural membranes stick the outside of the lungs to the inside of the chest cavity. The lungs themselves do not have any muscles. It follows the movement of the chest wall. So this is to state that pressure increases inside the lungs as volume of chest cavity decreases. Okay, that's the question. And it says, okay, let's check. Pressure increases inside the lungs as volume of chest cavity decreases. True. The explanation is stated here. If the volume of the chest cavity increases, volume of the lungs increases as well. But pressure decreases as volumes gets bigger. I hope that explains the true or false question. That is, pressure will increase as volume reduces. Air always moves from a region of higher pressure to a region of lower pressure between the lungs and the atmosphere. So we have a quick question here. Which row shows the action of muscles during inspiration? That'll be D. Correct. Which cell produces mucus? That'll be the goblet cells. Correct. Inspired air and expired air. It says which row correctly compares inspired air with expired air? That'll be B, which states that lower water vapor concentration in inspired air and higher carbon dioxide concentration in expired air. Correct. Another question here. Which reagent is being used in the test tube? We have a photograph showing us a positive test of the presence of carbon dioxide in gas. Test tube at the start and test tube at the end. So the possible reagent that is being used here should be lime water because we can see that it changes the reagent. Carbon dioxide is changed the reagent to a milky color. Correct. With this, we come to the end of another episode of our IGCSE biology class. Remember to subscribe to our channel. Check us out on www.edubbey.com for more of our materials and resources. Thank you.